Hey everyone, so it's time for some HA testing. This video should be pretty short, but I wanted to get started with the HA testing. We're going to take small steps. I've been doing a lot of this over the last couple of days, getting some interesting results. So all we're going to do today is we're going to shut down a node in the cloud, see how it affects the cloud, and see how it affects the VMs. I want to show you the HA that OpenStack is talking about and Landscape's talking about in that GUI is the HA of the cloud, not the VMs. It doesn't care about the VMs at all. So if you lose a compute node, you're just out. So we're going to attack one of the compute nodes that has some VMs on it. Let's get that set up, and then we'll talk about something else real quick. So we're going to attack this 470 node, 4780 node here. Let's go into project and instances. Actually, we need to go into admin. Let's go into admin. I've got a couple of instances out here, at least one per host right now. So there's one on for test 5. So let's take a look at it real quick. Test 5. It's got a key on it. Let's put a floating IP on it real quick. It's fine. I didn't need to do that. There we go. Associate. So before I kill this node, what I'm getting at here, I'm going to show you that here in just a second. That's number 4. Let's just open a new one. Okay. And we're in. Okay. So this is just to demonstrate what's going to happen, because this is a compute node, but it's also a bunch of other things. So if you go into machines, right, first you actually need to figure out what machine that is. So let's scroll to the top. Actually, I want to show you this. Makes things a little easier. GG status. If you do format tabular, much quicker, a lot cleaner, and it gives you all the not as much information, but you know some. We're talking about 4, and it's on machine 5. Confusing? 5. So it's got 10 containers. Nah, probably like it's got 10 things running on it. So 7 containers. So there's a bunch of stuff there, important things. So now, we've got our Google pinging away. So what happens if something happens and we lose one node, right? It's gone. And our VM is dead in the water. So we lost all the VMs on that node. We're going to start seeing these reporting badly. Hypervisors. We're going to start seeing this go down. See, it's disabled. So the node is completely gone. So while Juju catches up and figures out what's going on there, a few things that I mentioned on the live stream I want to mention here again. People that have helped me on eBay. Again, none of these people pay me to do this, but I just wanted to share with you the luck that I've had with a couple of really good sellers on eBay. This guy Alex, but Alex I Togar is their eBay name. They sell DDR3 memory, 8500 for the Optiplex. They sell a couple different kinds of memory. It's cheap. It works. They have a lot of it. Shipping's fast and free. Check them out if you need some memory. Plus, on top of that, not only do you get memory, you get this nice note that they wrote and put my name on. Thought that was a nice touch. Great people to deal with. So next, this United Electronics Recycling. Um, they so this is how we ended up with the additional node. So I found one that was pretty cheap, and I got it from these guys for 20 bucks plus shipping. Well, it shipped out, and in 3 days I ended up with two computers, and I didn't order two computers. I had a small form factor and a tower, so I ordered the tower, but I got an additional one, and I sent them a note that says, "Hey, I'd love to have this other computer, but I didn't order it." They sorted out the shipping, figured out what was going on, and they just let me keep the other one. That you can't beat that. But if you have needs, you want to get some nodes, check these guys out. Seem to be pretty reasonable. I've only dealt with them once so far. I've bought a lot of memory from the Alex seller, but I've only dealt with them once so far. So far, so good. Now, last one, this Tech Vitality, and I've mentioned them before. Um, they sold me a Switch for a great price. Switch didn't work. So I sent it back on them. They paid to ship it back. And then they sold me they for the same money this Dell PowerEdge switch that is probably a lot better than the one I had before. It works great. They shipped it out. It came quick. No complaints at all with this seller. Again, they have a lot of enterprise stuff, but if you need, if you need parts, check them out too. Okay, so that's all uh, for the sellers that I'm gonna say, but there's a lot of good sellers out there, guys. These are just the ones that I've had luck with so far. Check them out if you need some parts. Okay, back to the cloud. So VM's still dead, right? Yep. Um, so let's just get a GG status and see what the messages are saying. I expect to get a whole lot of lost. It's not messages, it's message. Yep, so agent lost, sorry, agent lost, sorry. You're going to see a lot of this. Okay, but in this one, we're just simulating the loss of a node. No breakage, right? Where nothing bad happened. This would be like if somebody kicked the power cord out, or the network cable came loose, or even if you lost like a bad port on the switch, something that didn't affect the disk or the hardware, just an incremental outage. So just one machine down. Also note on that machine what the status is. So if you go up here to the top, I know this is a lot of scrolling. Take a look at what'd we say? That is machine 5 technically. So see, you get this started brackets. That means it in Juju it started, right? But it can't get a reading on it because it's down. But so we've got one machine down. It's also important to note there's no red out here. Nothing failed because of it. It's redundant. Even the Nova Compute isn't complaining. It just has a node down. It's not dead. It just has one down. In fact, let's take a look and see what it. Yeah, I mean they're all still there, but it's trying to take up for that compute node, but it can't. So it's not reporting down. Anyway, system information. All this is going to be clean. So your Nova Compute, it's down. And you lost your Open vSwitch just because it can't connect to that. node anymore. But that's it. Everything else is healthy. Your instances. So, uh, we're still showing active and running on these instances, but the instance is down. Uh, what you can do is we can go to hypervisors and we can evacuate this host. If it's down and disabled, the OpenStack dashboard knows about it. It will give you the option to evacuate. So we're going to evacuate this host over to 1 because I know that there's nothing on 1. So we're going to start the evacuation. Let's go to instances. And you'll see these respawning, rebuilding, and now they're over on node 1. Now if we go back to our window, we should be able to... This thing's dead. Let's just create a duplicate. It's still coming up. So it came up, within a couple of seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds maybe. So now you have your VMs running on a different Nova compute node. So that's one way to recover. That node's still down, right? But that's one way to recover out of that. Go back to hypervisors and take a look. So it's still down, but it's been evacuated. So that's one way you can get out of that. So you've recovered your VMs with an evacuation. Node's still down. Let's go ahead and bring that node back up. And I want you to note one more time, there's nothing out here that's red. So let's go to Maz. This should have aired out. Let's go to Maz. And let's bring it up with either wake. I have this preloaded. If you have the MAC address handy, just shoot it in either wake packet. And we'll give it a second and let it come up. So the node's coming back up. Let's go ahead and get back into Juju. Let's just do a Juju status and grep from message. So you see these things: running leader, settings change hook. So that's it, bringing that node back up to speed. Config change hooks, trying to get anything that's changed in the environment. Another good thing to do is to watch your Juju GUI, just to see if it's going to start complaining about anything. So we're still coming up. So let's take another look. So we're running update hooks. It's doing some waiting so it doesn't collide. Running some other update hooks. Let's take a look at the GUI. We're still clean in here. Okay, now we're starting to go ready. running update hook still. Another thing you can grep for is current. Active's good, idle's good. Unknowns are usually fine. Executing, that means he's still catching up running a hook. You don't want to see blocked, you don't want to see error. Yeah, so these look pretty good. Executing, I have run into instances where the hook can't finish, so it will never get out of executing, and I've had to resume some things. Uh, the commands that are useful. We'll go over these in length in another video, but if you do Juju action defined, and then just pick a service. Um, I don't know. Neutron gateway. So it's going to give you a little thing of what you can do to it. So if you get stuck on a hook, sometimes you can issue a resume, and it will kind of kick that hook, restart that hook over, and it will allow it to complete. If you get a hook fail, the best thing to do is resolve it, but you want to resolve with a retry, and then put in you know, your service name. Something like that. So that will get you resolve with a retry. Resolve with retry should be the same as coming in here, hitting this, finding the error, and hitting resolved, right? But sometimes I have better luck with the CLI working. This was a really clean recovery. We didn't see anything error out. We didn't see any hooks fail. So we're in good shape. Now, the next question is, so it's back. We should see this cycle to enabled. And it's up. We've got our compute node back. Let's make sure we've got our connections back. It looks good. All the services are enabled. Looks good. Okay. Now, what about our VMs are up? What about the instances that we evacuated? Well, live migration, I can't get it to work. So, uh, basically, I think we had what? Test 3. Let's just use test 3 since we were testing with it. We moved it over to 1. I have 2 of those. But anyway, test 3. Live migration, again, can't get it to work. But you can cold migrate, which will send it back to a different host. Cold migrate is also going to shut down the instance and bring it back up after the migrate is complete. So that's something you have to take into account. Because there was space available on 4, that's probably why it chose to do the cold migrate back over to the node that we had. The problem with cold migrate is that you never know where it's going to put it, but I think it does a pretty good job at figuring out, at balancing out Nova Compute nodes. So that's just one way that you can get the nodes that you evacuated at least a little more evenly spread out. So when the migrate's complete, hit confirm, and the node's coming, or the instance is coming back up, and it's back, and it's migrated back to its original host. So let's sum up HA real quick. So HA is for the cloud nodes, not for the compute nodes. You can evacuate a host to a different host if you've lost it, but it's really hard to get them back, the instances back once the node comes back up. You can do cold migrates to attempt to get it back to the node where you want it to go, but live migrate, it's still having a lot of issues. I'm going to try to work on that. So that's one node lost. We're back to square one. Everything's good. We're going to continue testing on some videos a little later. Thanks for watching.